All right, so yeah, we love to dig deep here, and you've given us this really interesting collection of writings.
Yeah.
And it's all about kind of like achieving not just like financial success,
Yeah.
but a really fulfilling life. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
there's personal stories in here. We've got some sharp observations, reflections on work, money, and personal growth.
It's a rich tapestry of wisdom and experience, I think.
Yeah, and I think for people listening, our goal today is to kind of cut through all of that
Yeah.
and pull out the really actionable stuff, right? Like, what can people actually do?
Yeah.
What are some of the ideas that we can use to move forward?
Exactly. We want to give you a clear path forward to a better life without feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think a lot of times people get very intimidated by these kinds of topics, right?
Right.
So I think it's important to extract the practical wisdom and also
Okay.
kind of the surprising connections because sometimes those can really spark change.
Yeah, totally. And what's cool about this particular collection is that we have a variety of perspectives.
Yeah.
We've got someone here who's determined to kind of break free from what they felt was a middle-class struggle.
Right.
We've got a younger person who's just kind of figuring things out through their work.
Uh-huh.
And then we've got this really interesting perspective of the wealthy gardener figure.
Yeah, that's a recurring theme in a lot of these writings.
Right.
And I think that perspective is really interesting because it kind of embodies this idea of achieving both financial prosperity and a fulfilling life.
Yeah, and I think what struck me right away was this connection between how we use our time
Mhm.
and, the purpose we bring to each day,
Yeah.
and really the ability to achieve financial success. There's this initial desire for freedom. I think it's a big driver for a lot of people.
Absolutely. I mean that's kind of the spark that ignites the whole journey, right?
Right.
That desire to kind of win your freedom from financial constraints.
Yeah, totally. And that feeling of wanting freedom is really like highlighted in that story about the college experience.
Oh, right.
Is someone who clearly had the ability,
Yeah.
but their grades were just kind of suffering. And it wasn't because they weren't smart. It's because they just didn't have that focus. They weren't using their time effectively.
Yeah, they were just letting the hours slip away without any real intention.
Right. And then as soon as they like wrote down their goals and made a schedule, everything just like flipped.
That's a classic example of the power of structure and intentionality.
Straight.
Yeah.
Just like that.
It's amazing how much of a difference that can make, right?
Yeah. And I think, thinking about time, we've got that parable of the pearly gates.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
And it's so interesting. It's like you've got these two individuals, and one is just kind of like going through the motions of life, not really thinking about it.
Just kind of working aimlessly. Yeah.
And then they get to the pearly gates, and they're faced with like this endless drudgery for eternity.
Right.
And then you've got this other person who's really engaged with each day they're using their mind. They're being thoughtful.
They're living with intention.
Yeah.
And they get rewarded for that.
Absolutely. It's not just about being busy. It's about being purposeful.
Yeah. And I think that leads us into some of that classic advice.
Yeah.
Brian Tracy says time management is the sun and everything else revolves around it.
I love that quote.
Right? It's so true. And then, Benjamin Franklin,
Oh, yeah.
don't squander time. That's the stuff life is made of.
You can't get it back.
Right. It's like these are fundamental principles, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they lead directly to this concept of impact activity.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not enough to just work hard. You have to work on the right things.
Impact activity being the specific work that gets you to your goals.
Exactly. The actions that move the needle.
Yeah. And I think that example of the manager working so hard to renovate this farm,
Yeah.
he's putting in the hours.
Yeah. He's sweating it out.
But then the wealthy gardener asks him this very simple question. What was it again?
How will you meet your living expenses during this renovation?
Oh, yeah.
Like it's cutting through all of that surface level effort, right?
Right. Is all that labor actually contributing to his immediate financial stability, or is it potentially creating more pressure?
Yeah, is he actually digging himself into a deeper hole
Exactly.
by doing all of this work?
Sometimes you have to step back and assess whether your efforts are truly aligned with your goals.
And it's like in that moment,
Hmm.
he's kind of forced to confront the reality of his situation.
Yeah, I think a lot of times a deeper commitment to wealth arises from kind of a crisis like that.
Right. It's not just wanting prosperity. It's like this determined stance against financial stress.
Yeah, that vulnerability,
Yeah.
it can be a real motivator.
And then we see this person who is featured in this story. They go through this financial crisis, and they decide to make these really conscious changes.
Okay, like what?
Well, they start prioritizing more of these impact activities,
Oh,
and they really start looking at their weekly schedule, cutting out the hollow hours.
the time that's just kind of wasted.
Right, like things that aren't really serving them.
Makes sense.
And some of the changes are so interesting. They eliminate alcohol
Okay.
and mindless entertainment. They make time for solitude and meditation,
Interesting.
cultivate a positive mindset.
Those are all internal shifts, right?
Yeah, but then they also prioritize their physical health
Okay, so
through exercise and diet,
makes sense.
setting these really clear financial goals,
Yeah, you got to have those targets.
visualizing, affirming, listening to personal development audiobooks.
Yeah.
Like, it's all very intentional.
So it's a combination of both internal and external changes.
Yeah. And what's so striking is that their income more than doubles.
Wow.
And it's not from this huge, like, physical
Yeah.
change, right? It's from all these little things.
It's the compounding effect of those small, consistent actions.
Yeah, it really makes you think about all of the hidden potential in our routines.
Yeah. It's like we all have these untapped reserves of time and energy.
Yeah.
We just need to learn how to channel them effectively.
And that leads us into this idea of the impact hour, right?
Oh, yeah, the impact hour.
So many dreams die, not because we don't want them, but because we don't give them the time.
We don't dedicate those focused hours.
Right.
And that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, so it's about being really strategic with your schedule and creating more of these impact hours.
Absolutely. Make time for your dreams.
Yeah. Okay, so now we get to this idea of financial dignity.
Okay, financial dignity.
It's not just about having money in the bank. It's about that self-respect that comes from earning your own way.
Yeah, that sense of pride and accomplishment.
Yeah, and there's this really powerful quote about a garden giving the body the dignity of working in its own support,
Oh, I like that one.
right? It's like connecting our physical effort directly to our sense of worth.
It's about contributing and creating something of value.
Totally. And then you've got the story of Jared, who ends up back home after going through some tough times.
Yeah, and he meets the wealthy gardener.
Right, and the wealthy gardener's interaction with him is really interesting.
What happens?
But you know, even that joke about the phone app for pulling weeds,
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
it's like subtly highlighting the value of like actively contributing.
Right, of earning your keep.
And the source makes this really strong point. It says, it's not the dirty gardeners who deserve our pity,
Yeah.
but rather the clean ones sitting on the porches waiting for the perfect job.
Oh, while their gardens grow into disarray.
Right.
Yeah, that's a powerful image.
It's like this idea that there's real dignity in the act of working and providing for yourself.
It's about taking ownership and responsibility.
And that kind of reframes how we think about work in general.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just about the money.
Think about creating value.
Contributing to society.
Yeah, and I think that leads us into this idea that financial security is a power within.
It's an inner strength.
Yeah, it's not just dependent on external factors.
Right. You can be dead broke and still have that sense of security.
And we see that with the wealthy gardener, he achieved true wealth while he was still dead broke
Wow. How did he do that?
by tapping into this mental discipline that he learned from sports.
Oh, interesting. So it's about cultivating that inner resilience.
Exactly, building a mental fortress.
That can withstand the storms.
Yeah, and this connects to this concept of extra sacrifice.
Extra sacrifice.
It's this idea that either we sacrifice ours for an extraordinary life, or we sacrifice our dreams for an average one.
It's a powerful choice.
Right, and the story about Bob dividing his farmland into ordinary, extra, and growth sections,
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
it's like this perfect illustration of this tension between playing it safe and going for it.
Right. He thought he was being sensible,
Right.
but he was also limiting his potential.
Yeah, and the wealthy gardener has this different perspective.
Yeah.
He emphasizes that both consistent hard work
Yeah.
and daily mental exercises are what shape our economic destiny.
It's not just about the hours you put in, it's about the quality of those hours.
Right. And he talks about this nightly ritual of impressing images and affirmations into his mind.
Oh, yeah, his sacred rain dance.
It's not presented as like some mystical thing, though, right?
No, it's about focused thought.
Like deep mental concentration.
Yeah, programming your subconscious for success.
Yeah. And it's what ultimately paved the way for his financial independence.
It's fascinating how powerful the mind can be.
And you know, the source also talks about this innate human drive for prosperity.
Yeah.
Like this natural desire for freedom.
It's part of our nature to want to thrive.
Right. But it's important to remember that the greatest treasure of life is peace of mind.
That's what the wealthy gardener learned during his worst financial year.
Right. And his motivation for teaching children about prosperity isn't just about them getting rich.
It's about giving them the freedom to pursue their passions.
Right. It's about enabling them to live a more meaningful life.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think the takeaway here is that our aspirations are paid for with time.
1 hour at a time.
Yeah. And the real sacrifices aren't just the hours we put into our jobs to survive.
It's about the intentional use of our free time.
Those impact hours.
Exactly.
It's about having a big why.
A purpose that drives those sacrifices.
Right. Because when our pursuit of financial well-being is tied to something larger than ourselves,
Where motivation becomes so much stronger.
yeah, we tap into something deeper.
It's about aligning your financial goals with your values.
And then that leads us into this discussion of compensation, service, and value.
Okay.
Wealth flows from useful service that loves us back,
I love that phrase.
right? And our income is directly proportional to the need for what we offer,
Yeah.
the quality of our work, how easily we can be replaced, and the number of people we can serve.
So it's a direct relationship between the value we provide and the compensation we receive.
And then there's this great story about the renter who tackled their debt by focusing on the smallest amounts first.
Oh, yeah, the snowball method.
Right, and it's like this perfect illustration of how getting started and building momentum can overcome these huge obstacles.
It's about taking those first steps, even if they seem small.
Yeah, because the first step is always the most difficult.
It's about breaking through that inertia.
Right, and Mark Twain had this great advice. He said, do something every day that you don't want to do.
I've heard that one.
It's about building that discipline.
Pushing past your comfort zone.
And ultimately, productivity isn't magic
It comes from having a plan.
and a clear goal.
It all comes back to purpose.
Okay, now let's talk about mental practices and self-trust.
Okay, this is a big one.
A success mindset is so crucial.
It drives our actions, fuels our motivation, helps us bounce back from setbacks.
And it can even create opportunities we might not have seen otherwise.
It's like having a superpower.
Right. And then there's this analogy of the lumberjack needing to sharpen his axe.
Oh, yeah, I like that one.
It's about maintaining our mental and physical well-being.
Just like a dull axe makes the job harder, a neglected mind and body diminishes our capacity for success.
And a stronger emotional state equips us to handle the increasing demands of daily life.
So self-care is not selfish. It's essential for success.
And then there's self-trust.
The foundation of it all.
We get the poorest condition we will tolerate.
That's a powerful statement.
Our level of self-trust dictates what we believe we deserve.
And what we're willing to accept.
So if we want to achieve great things, we need to believe in ourselves.
Absolutely. Self-belief is key.
And our convictions play a big role in this. They define the limits of what we believe is possible.
So if we want to break through those limits, we need to adopt beliefs that support our goals.
Right, and actively work to dismantle any self-sabotaging narratives.
It's about rewiring our thinking.
And that leads us into this concept of fulfilling work.
Fulfilling work, okay?
It's not just a job that pays the bills.
It's about finding work that aligns with our values, our passions, our talents.
That inner voice. And the source emphasizes that we unlock our greatest potential when we're doing work that we love.
It's about finding that sweet spot where our skills and interests intersect.
And fulfilling work isn't just personally rewarding.
It fuels our journey towards financial prosperity.
It creates this positive feedback loop.
When we're engaged in work that feels meaningful, we're more likely to excel.
And that success often translates into greater financial rewards.
So the key question is, what individual values must I fulfill through my work?
Not just what career should I pursue.
It's a much deeper question.
And then the source digs deeper into these ideas of inclinations and knacks.
Inclinations being our natural tendencies.
Yeah, knacks being those unique abilities that come easily to us.
The things that we're naturally good at.
And the story of the eagle raised with chickens.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
It's like this perfect analogy for how we can sometimes underestimate our true potential.
We can get stuck in environments that don't allow us to soar.
And then there's ambition.
That drive for achievement.
It often demands sacrifice.
But it's also a powerful force for growth.
And the source distinguishes between a fleeting wish and a deeply held ambition.
The latter requires a willingness to make sacrifices.
Right, and then we have this idea of the inner voice.
That intuitive sense that guides us.
It's about learning to trust that inner guidance.
But also balancing it with ambition and caution.
And when it comes to accumulating wealth and making big decisions,
We have to weigh the consequences of both action and inaction.
because indecision itself can close doors.
It's about seizing those moments of power.
And then we get into sacred effort.
Sacred effort. Okay.
Yeah. That ultimate exertion.
Pushing ourselves to the edge.
And it often results in this deep sense of calm.
That feeling of having given it our all.
And we have to have faith in our goals
They have the power to unlock our inner wisdom.
and create opportunities that seemed impossible.
It's about trusting the process.
And then the schedule is like this bedrock.
The structure that keeps us on track.
Talent multiplied by effort equals skill.
And skill multiplied by effort equals achievement.
The compounding effect of consistent effort.
It's like a mathematical equation for success.
Now let's talk about gratitude, intention, meditation, and mindfulness.
Okay. The internal game.
Cultivating gratitude can set positive events in motion.
It's about appreciating what we have.
And unwavering certainty helps us overcome obstacles.
Belief is a powerful force.
Focusing our concentration and intention directs our energy towards our goals.
It's about being laser focused.
Meditation allows us to access our inner wisdom.
In the stillness.
And mindfulness trains our attention on the present moment.
It enhances our focus and our wealth consciousness.
And then we have discontentment and fear.
Those can be powerful motivators too.
Discontentment can be a catalyst for change.
It pushes us to strive for something better.
And fear can drive us to make sacrifices.
To build security.
And the idea of a straight edge.
Avoiding even seemingly harmless indulgences.
It's about maintaining mental clarity.
And a strong connection to our inner voice.
And then there are discomfort bridges.
Those leaps into the unknown.
The situations that push us outside our comfort zones.
And lead to growth.
Big problems often lead to big wealth.
It's about being a problem solver.
And prudence
Detached objectivity.
prevents emotional financial setbacks.
It's about keeping our emotions in check.
Now, let's talk about essentialism.
Essentialism, okay.
It's about having a laser focus on our most important goal.
Eliminating distractions.
And then we have flexible plans,
Being adaptable.
willing to adjust our
Just
strategies,
because things change.
and learning curves,
Continuous learning.
essential for upward mobility.
It's about always striving to improve.
Now let's touch on self-mastery.
Self-mastery, okay.
It's about having a clear goal and striving for that feeling of accomplishment,
It's about being in control of ourselves.
being remarkable,
Standing out from the competition.
and negotiation power,
It comes from earning respect and having options.
and sociability.
Building positive relationships.
It all matters.
It's all connected.
And then there are the pitfalls to avoid.
Like what?
Wasted time,
Leads to regret.
sour adversity,
Can reveal our inner strength.
and acquiescence.
Acceptance of our current reality.
The first step to improvement.
It's about acknowledging where we are.
And emotional guidance
Our intuition.
and
A
direction.
vital strategy when our goals seem distant.
It gives us purpose
And opens up new opportunities.
and self-discipline.
Doing what we resist.
Pushing past hard.
Delaying gratification.
Living with daily purpose.
It's the foundation of success.
Now let's talk about impact statistics.
Impact statistics. Okay.
Tracking the actions that produce results.
It's about measuring what matters.
Then asking.
Boldly for opportunities.
Prosperity is built on successful daily habits.
It's the small things done consistently.
Okay, let's dive into some financial principles.
Okay, let's do it.
Thinking wealth.
A mindset of abundance.
That's gown.
Essential for accumulating wealth.
Profitability.
Ensuring our income exceeds our expenses.
Getting out of debt.
A crucial step towards freedom.
And saving urgently.
A top priority.
Keeping score.
Tracking our net worth.
Inflation.
We need to beat it.
Investing wisely.
Avoiding loss in the early stages.
Multiplying it.
A power of compound interest.
And passive income.
The goal of financial freedom.
Bringing it all together, we have the virtuous cycle of prosperity.
The virtues that contribute to a prosperous life.
Faith, vision learning, patience, self-control.
Mental practices, character courage, effectiveness.
It's a holistic journey.
Of personal and spiritual growth.
And finally, the wealthy gardener's permanent retreat.
A transition to a new phase of life.
The story of forgiving the young driver.
The importance of self-forgiveness.
And his parting wisdom.
Never play leapfrog with a unicorn.
And form successful daily habits.
The ultimate life strategy.
So as we come up for air after this deep dive, what stands out to me is this emphasis on the power of our inner world.
Our thoughts, our beliefs.
Those small daily intentions.
They shape our reality.
It's not just about the external hustle.
It's about the quality of our efforts.
Guided by our values.
And the pursuit of prosperity isn't just material,
It's intertwined with our personal and spiritual growth
a path of continuous learning.
and contributing to the world.
It's about more than just money.
So what's one hollow hour you could transform into an impact hour this week?
What's one small step you could take today towards a bigger goal?
Maybe delve deeper into one of the areas we discussed.
Explore goal-setting frameworks, mindfulness practices, or identify your core values.
The journey to prosperity is about cultivating a life of intention,
Of meaning and of purpose.
and the power to begin that journey lies within you.